Traded like property, the alien girl's whisper changed his entire mission. The unexpected cargo, the bioluminescent fungi on Helios 6, pulsed in rhythmic waves across the valley floor, painting the research station in ghostly blue light. Dr. Nadia. Korloff adjusted her atmospheric scrubbers as she collected samples from the crystalline soil. The planet's twin suns had set hours ago, bringing the nocturnal ecosystem to vibrant life and making it the perfect time for field research. Atmospheric toxicity decreasing to tolerable levels, announced Vesta, the station's AI companion. Recommend continued filtration precautions. Nadia smiled beneath her breathing apparatus. After 14 months on this remote outpost, she'd grown accustomed to Vesta's overly cautious protocols. Her research into Helios 6's unique plant life and its remarkable adaptive properties could revolutionize agriculture across the drought-stricken colonies. The Central Science Directorate had granted her unprecedented autonomy and crushing isolation. Just 15 more minutes, she replied, carefully extracting a fungal network that had incorporated the planet's natural crystals into its structure. This specimen shows promising symbiotic integration with the mineral deposits. A chime echoed through her comms. Priority delivery approaching, Vesta announced. Origin, Galactic Sweepstakes Commission. Nadia frowned, straightening her back, with a crack after hours hunched over her samples. Sweepstakes? I don't recall entering any sweepstakes. Records indicate participation during your last supply rotation at Proxima Station. Wellness Counselor Bennett initiated registration as recommended therapeutic intervention for extended isolation deployment. Nadia vaguely remembered the pushy counselor insisting she invest in possibilities. She'd hurriedly tapped authorization on a datapad just to escape his office. Fine. Prepare receiving bay and run standard containment protocols, she instructed, packing her samples. By the time she reached the station's dome, a sleek delivery drone hovered outside the airlock, impervious to the planet's caustic atmosphere. It carried a hexagonal container far larger than standard botanical specimens. Certificate of authenticity verified, Vesta reported as the container passed through decontamination. Package classified as premium living specimen. Living specimen? Nadia approached cautiously. The container's design featured advanced stasis fields and biometric security, excessive for typical botanical transport. What did that counselor sign me up for? Vesta, scan for biological signatures. Unable to penetrate security shielding. Container utilizes diplomatic-grade privacy protocols. Nadia's scientific curiosity overrode her caution. She pressed her palm against the authentication panel, and the container responded immediately. Hexagonal panels separated with a pneumatic hiss, releasing cryopreservation mist into the chamber. As the fog dissipated, Nadia's breath caught. Inside stood not a plant, but a humanoid figure, tall and lean with skin that shifted between deep indigo and violet, like the perpetual twilight sky of Helios 6. His eyes were entirely silver, lacking any discernible pupil or iris, and his midnight blue hair fell in intricate braids adorned with small crystalline beads. A luminous crescent mark curved from his right temple down to his jaw. What the hell? Nadia stumbled backward, reaching for the emergency protocols panel. The being blinked, silver eyes focusing on her with obvious disorientation. Please, he said, his voice carrying a melodic resonance. Don't alert anyone to my presence. Nadia's hand hovered over the alarm. Who are you? What is this? My designation is L927, he replied, stepping carefully from the container. He wore a simple garment of iridescent material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. But my true name is Lysander. There's been a mistake, Nadia said firmly. I'm contacting the Sweepstakes Commission immediately. Wait, Lysander's voice carried desperate urgency. Please, no communications. They'll trace it. Who will trace it? Nadia demanded, scientific assessment overriding panic. His anatomical structure appeared humanoid, but subtle differences marked him as definitively non-human. The slight elongation of his fingers, the angular structure of his face, the unusual fluidity of his movements. The ones who arrange my delivery. Bitterness tinged his melodic voice. The ones who profit from the celestial trade. Celestial trade? I don't understand. Lysander approached slowly, his movements careful, deliberate. The Galactic sweepstakes is partially legitimate. Most winners receive exactly what they expect. His silver eyes met hers. But special prizes, sentient beings with unique genetic properties, are distributed to isolated locations throughout the frontier. Nadia felt sick. You're saying this is sentient trafficking? The most profitable kind. Lysander touched a delicate metallic band around his wrist. I am, or was, diplomatic heir to the Azurine system. My genetic composition includes adaptability traits engineered over 17 generations. If you're a diplomat, why are you? Nadia gestured helplessly at the container. Political coup, he said simply. My siblings arranged my removal. Dead heirs raise questions. Missing heirs become legends. Sold heirs disappear forever. Nadia's scientific mind raced through implications. I need to report this. The Interstellar Justice Department are compromised, Lysander interrupted. The celestial trade has infiltrated multiple regulatory bodies. Reporting me would alert my siblings' agents. We would both be eliminated within planetary rotation. The overhead lights flickered as Vesta announced, unidentified vessel approaching, no flight plan registered. Lysander's expression tightened. They're already here. Who's here? Nadia rushed to the monitoring station, activating external cameras. A sleek black ship descended through the crystalline forest canopy, its design unlike standard directorate vessels. Recovery team, Lysander said grimly. They ensure client satisfaction, or eliminate evidence of transactions when necessary. Nadia's fingers flew across the console. Vesta, security lockdown, activate emergency protocols. Security measures engaged. The AI responded as reinforced shields covered the viewports. They have override codes, Lysander warned. Your security won't hold them for long. Nadia accessed the station schematics. There's a network of maintenance tunnels beneath the primary lab. They connect to the old mining complex from the first expedition. You would help me? Lysander asked, surprise evident in his voice. Nadia hesitated only momentarily. Research station or not, human trafficking, or whatever interstellar equivalent this represented, violated everything she believed in. I'm not in the habit of returning sentient beings to their abusers. A faint smile touched Lysander's lips. Then I am fortunate to have been delivered to you, Dr. Korloff. The station shuddered as something struck the outer hull. Warning indicators flashed across the monitors. Entry attempt detected, Vesta announced. Airlock integrity compromised. Nadia grabbed her field pack, quickly filling it with survival essentials. The tunnel should lead us to the secondary research outpost in the crystalline basin. We can regroup there. Lysander approached the station's primary console, placing his palm against the interface. Silver light pulsed from his fingertips into the system. What are you doing? Nadia demanded. Erasing evidence. The console flickered and reset. They mustn't know you helped me willingly. It would make you a target. Another impact rocked the station. The lights dimmed. Emergency systems engaging. Multiple breaches detected. Vesta reported, voice distorting. Security systems compromised. Nadia led Lysander to a concealed maintenance hatch beneath her laboratory workstation. These tunnels haven't been used in years. The atmosphere might be unstable. My physiology adapts to most environments, Lysander assured her. And your breathing apparatus should protect you. As they descended into the narrow tunnel, the station above them erupted with the sound of the airlock being forcibly opened. Heavy footsteps and the low hum of energy weapons echoed through the walls. Stay close, Nadia whispered, activating her suit's minimal lighting. The tunnel stretched before them, descending into the crystalline heart of Helios 6. Behind them, harsh voices shouted commands as the intruders discovered the empty containment unit. They moved quickly through the labyrinthine passages, Nadia consulting her portable mapping device while Lysander's natural bioluminescence provided additional light. His skin glowed with faint purple-blue patterns that shifted with his, breathing. "They're scanning for my biometric signature," Lysander explained as they paused at a junction. "The crystalline formations in these tunnels should disrupt their sensors temporarily." Nadia studied him with scientific fascination despite their dire circumstances. "Your species? You're from Azarine?" "I am Azarine," he corrected. "My people are few. We were nearly exterminated during the Consortium Wars. Our adaptability made us valuable commodities." A distant explosion rattled the tunnel walls. Dust and small crystal shards rained down upon them. "They're destroying your research station," Lysander said apologetically. "Eliminating evidence." Nadia felt a pang at years of work lost, but pushed it aside. "Data is backed up off-world. Lives aren't replaceable." They continued deeper into the tunnel network, the sounds of pursuit growing fainter. After nearly an hour of tense navigation, they emerged into a vast underground cavern, illuminated by massive colonies of bioluminescent fungi. Crystalline formations stretched from floor to ceiling, creating natural columns that sparkled in the ghostly light. "We should be safe here temporarily," Nadia said, checking her scanner. "The crystalline density will mask our presence." Lysander approached one of the larger crystal formations, placing his palm against its surface. The crescent mark on his face pulsed with the same silver light that had emanated from his fingers earlier. "These crystals," he murmured. "They resonate with frequencies similar to Azarine harmonics." "What does that mean?" "It means," Lysander said, turning to her with the first genuine expression of hope she'd seen, "this planet might provide us a way to fight back." Nadia was about to question him further when her scanner chimed softly. "Movement at the tunnel entrance. They've tracked us." Lysander's expression hardened. "We need to reach the surface. In open terrain, I can better protect us both." "The crystalline basin is less than 2 kilometers from here," Nadia said, studying her map. "But the surface is exposed to atmospheric toxins." "Trust me," Lysander said, extending his hand. The crescent mark on his face pulsed brighter. "My adaptability trait isn't just biological, it's transferable." Above them, the sounds of pursuit grew closer. Mercenaries shouted coordinates, their voices echoing through the cavern network. Nadia looked at his outstretched hand, weighing years of scientific caution against immediate survival needs. With a decisive nod, she clasped his hand. "Lead the way," she said. As their fingers interlocked, a tingling sensation spread up her arm, the first indication that her life, and perhaps the future of Helios 6 itself, had irrevocably changed. Bonds of necessity. The twin suns of Helios 6 crested the horizon, casting prismatic reflections through the crystalline forest. Nadia and Lysander had been moving steadily for hours, keeping to the dense undergrowth where massive fungi created natural canopies against aerial surveillance. Atmospheric toxicity at critical levels, Nadia's portable scanner warned. She checked her breathing apparatus. The filter was degrading faster than expected, contaminated by the morning spores released from the crystal fungi symbiotes. "Your equipment is failing," Lysander observed, the crescent mark on his face pulsing with steady, silver light. "We have maybe 20 minutes before complete filter degradation," Nadia confirmed, her scientific mind calculating survival odds even as her heart raced with adrenaline. Lysander stopped beside a massive crystal formation that towered 15 meters above them. The structure hummed with subtle vibrations, a phenomenon Nadia had documented but never fully understood. "We don't have 20 minutes," he said quietly. "The mercenaries have deployed atmospheric trackers. They're designed to detect non-native respiration patterns." "Then we're finished," Nadia said, frustration edging her voice. 14 months of research, destroyed in a single night. Her career, likely over, and now her life. Not necessarily. Lysander placed his palm against the crystal formation. The marking on his face brightened in response, matching the resonant frequency of the structure. What do you know about Azurine physiological symbiosis? Only theoretical research, Nadia replied, scientific curiosity momentarily overriding fear. Your people can form temporary biological bonds with compatible organisms, sharing physiological advantages. She paused. It was one of the reasons the consortium targeted your species during the wars. Lysander nodded. The process I began when I took your hand in the cavern was the first stage of symbiotic integration. With your permission, I can complete. Nadia hesitated. What exactly does that mean? A temporary biological merger. My adaptive traits would protect you from the atmosphere. My genetic resilience would become yours. His silver eyes met hers. But the connection works both ways. Your knowledge, your understanding of this planet, I would share in that as well. In the distance, the low hum of pursuit craft grew louder, their window of escape narrowing with each passing second. Will it hurt? Nadia asked pragmatically. A small smile touched Lysander's lips. Only your preconceptions of separate consciousness. With her filter degrading and enemies approaching, the choice was clear. Do it, she said. Lysander placed both hands on her temples, the crescent mark on his face flaring with intense silver light. Nadia gasped as her perception expanded beyond the boundaries of her physical form. Her consciousness stretched, merged, intertwined with another, alien yet somehow familiar. Memories not her own cascaded through her mind. Crystal cities suspended in amber skies, educational enclaves where young Azurines learned to harness their adaptive abilities, diplomatic gatherings where Lysander represented his people's interests. The beauty and complexity of a civilization she'd only read about in xenoanthropology journals. But darker memories followed. The betrayal orchestrated by his siblings, the drugged abduction during what should have been a routine diplomatic mission, the horror of waking in a containment pod while being assessed by cold-eyed traders who spoke of his market value. As their minds synchronized, Nadia felt her body changing at the cellular level. The burning in her lungs subsided as new pathways for processing Helios 6's toxic atmosphere formed within her respiratory system. Her skin tingled as it adapted, to filter the harmful radiation from the twin suns. When Lysander finally removed his hands, Nadia felt fundamentally altered. She took an experimental breath without her filter and found the air, while still acrid, no longer burned. Extraordinary, she whispered, the scientist in her marveling at the biological transformation even as she processed the intimate knowledge of Lysander now residing in her consciousness. The bond is temporary, he cautioned, though she already knew this from his memories. Perhaps 3 planetary rotations before your physiology reverts, but it should be enough to reach Crimson Hollow. Nadia unclipped her breathing apparatus, amazed at the freedom. The smuggler's outpost? That's nearly 80 kilometers through the far reaches. It's our only chance of securing off-world transport, Lysander replied. I have connections there, people who owe allegiance to my lineage, rather than the puppet government my siblings installed. A thunderous explosion behind them ended. Further discussion. The mercenaries had found the cavern exit and were deploying sonic charges to clear the dense crystal growth. This way, Nadia said, newfound knowledge guiding her. Through Lysander's adaptive vision, she could now see energy currents flowing through the crystalline formations, natural pathways that would shield them from detection. If we follow the harmonic resonance lines, their sensors won't differentiate us from the native crystal signatures. They moved swiftly through the forest, their steps perfectly synchronized. The symbiotic bond allowed them to communicate without words, sharing impressions and knowledge with mere thoughts. Nadia guided them through the planet's treacherous terrain, while Lysander's diplomatic training helped them strategize their escape. By midday, they reached the edge of the shattered plains, a vast expanse of fractured crystal flats that stretched to the horizon, the aftermath of an ancient meteorite impact. Without protective gear, the plains would have been a death sentence. The fragmented crystals magnified the twin suns' radiation to lethal levels, and the open terrain offered no cover. We'll have to cross at night, Nadia decided, leading them to a sheltered outcropping. Even then, it's risky, Lysander observed, scanning the horizon. The mercenaries will expect us to wait for darkness. They'll intensify their search of the perimeter. Through their connection, Nadia sensed his fatigue. The symbiotic bond and their relentless pace had drained his reserves. Rest, she urged. I'll keep watch. Lysander settled against the crystal formation, the marking on his face pulsing in rhythm with the surrounding structures. Through their bond, Nadia felt his consciousness slip into a meditative state. Not true sleep, but a regenerative trance, unique to Azarenes. While he rested, Nadia extracted her portable data unit, salvaging what research she could. The symbiotic bond had given her new insights into Helios 6's ecosystem. The crystalline structures weren't merely mineral formations as her previous research suggested. They were a planetary neural network, a communication system for the fungal colonies that were the planet's true dominant life form. Hours passed as she documented these revelations, occasionally scanning their surroundings for pursuit. As the twin suns began their descent, casting long shadows across the crystal plains, Lysander emerged from his trance. "They're coming," he said simply, the knowledge transmitted through their bond before he spoke the words. Nadia nodded, already packing her equipment. "Not from behind us, from ahead." She pointed toward the distant edge of the shattered plains where tiny dark shapes distorted the horizon. "They've anticipated our destination." "We need a diversion," Lysander said, approaching one of the larger crystal formations. He placed both hands against its surface, the crescent mark on his face brightening intensely. "The planetary network. I can access it through our bond." Nadia watched in amazement as the massive crystal began to resonate, vibrations traveling outward through the mineral veins beneath the surface. Across the plains, smaller formations began to respond, creating a cascading network of harmonics that interfered with electronic systems. "Temporary electromagnetic disruption," Lysander explained, his voice strained with effort. "It won't last long." They raced across the shattered plains as darkness fell, the crystal fragments beneath their feet glowing with residual energy from Lysander's interference. Without detection equipment, the mercenaries were forced to search blindly, firing illumination flares that cast eerie shadows across the fractured landscape. Near midnight, they reached the far edge of the plains and entered the dense fungal forests that surrounded Crimson Hollow. The outpost glowed in the distance, a haphazard collection of structures built from salvaged spacecraft parts and native materials. Traders, smugglers, and those avoiding official scrutiny, Nadia commented, recalling her limited knowledge of the place. Most researchers avoided the lawless outpost. "And our only hope of leaving this world," Lysander added, his silver eyes scanning the perimeter for security measures. As they approached the settlement, Nadia felt Lysander's consciousness withdraw, slightly, shielding certain thoughts. "What aren't you telling me?" she asked directly. Lysander's expression remained neutral, but through their bond, she sensed his conflict. "The contact I seek, Captain Orion Vale, is not merely a smuggler. He's resistance." "Resistance? Against what?" "The Galactic Consortium isn't the benevolent governing body your education suggests," Lysander said carefully. "The celestial trade is merely a symptom of deeper corruption. The Consortium systematically exploits frontier worlds and minority species while presenting a facade of unity and progress to core worlds." Nadia absorbed this, comparing it against her own experiences with bureaucratic indifference to her research, unless it promised profitable applications. "Your siblings' coup was consortium-backed," Lysander confirmed. Azarene represented one of the last independent systems with enough influence to challenge consortium policies. My parents refused to sign resource exploitation treaties. 1 month later, they were dead. My siblings were installed as progressive reformers, and I was conveniently removed from succession. They paused at the settlement's edge, watching the diverse collection of beings move through the crowded marketplace. Species from across the galaxy conducted transactions beneath strings of mismatched illumination units, the air thick with exotic spices and machinery lubricant. Crimson Hollow operates outside consortium jurisdiction, Lysander explained. Captain, Vale maintains a network that helps political refugees escape consortium space. And you're more than just a refugee, aren't you? Nadia asked, the pieces finally aligning in her mind. You're the legitimate heir to Azarine. Your return would threaten consortium control of the system. Lysander nodded once. Which is why they'll never stop hunting me. Nadia processed this revelation, weighing her future options. Her research station was destroyed, her career in tatters. Returning to Directorate space meant intense questioning about the destruction of valuable scientific equipment and possibly charges if her role in Lysander's escape was discovered. We should find your captain, she said decisively. They moved through the bustling outpost, keeping to shadows and avoiding the surveillance drones that hovered at major intersections. Lysander led them to a dingy establishment called the Cosmic Drift, its entrance marked by a holographic sign showing a starship navigating an asteroid field. Inside, the air was thick with smoke from various intoxicants. Beings of at least 20 different species crowded around tables, engaged in everything from high-stakes gambling to black market negotiations. Lysander's silver eyes scanned the room, finally settling on a figure in the far corner. Captain Orion. Vale was unmistakably human, but with extensive cybernetic modifications visible along his jawline and left arm. A network of fine silver circuitry traced patterns across his dark skin, pulsing faintly with each heartbeat. His most striking feature was his eyes, one deep brown, the other an artificial sapphire blue that constantly shifted focus, analyzing his surroundings. Wait here, Lysander instructed, moving toward the captain's table. But before he could cross half the distance, the establishment's entrance burst open. 6 armored figures entered, weapons drawn. The same mercenaries who had destroyed Nadia's research station. Sweep for Azarine biosignatures, ordered their leader, a broad-shouldered human with a facial scar that twisted his features into a permanent sneer. Authorization code, Serpent's Tooth. At the code phrase, several patrons immediately drew weapons while others scattered for exits. The establishment had descended into chaos within seconds. Consortium enforcers hissed a reptilian being beside Nadia. Everyone out the back. In the confusion, Nadia lost sight of Lysander. She pushed through the panicking crowd, searching for the silvery reflection of his eyes. A hand grabbed her arm. Captain Vale, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on her face. You're with the Azarine? He stated, rather than asked, his enhanced senses detecting the lingering symbiotic connection. This way. He pulled her toward a concealed panel in the wall that slid open at his approach. Beyond lay a narrow corridor connecting to what appeared to be a small hangar bay. Wait, Lysander. Nadia resisted, unwilling to leave without him. Already aboard, Vale assured her, pointing toward a sleek craft of unfamiliar design. The prince contacted me the moment you bonded. I've been tracking your approach for hours. They hurried toward the vessel as weapons fire erupted behind them. The mercenaries had discovered the hidden exit. Inside the ship, Lysander waited in a small command center, surrounded by communication equipment. His crescent mark pulsed rapidly, interfacing with the ship's systems. Nadia. Relief flooded through their bond as he saw her. Our window is closing. Captain Vale sealed the hatch and moved to the pilot station. Vertical launch in 15 seconds. Might get bumpy. The ship's engines engaged with a high-pitched whine as exterior clamps released. Through the viewports, Nadia saw mercenaries rushing into the hangar, weapons aimed at their vessel. Hold on, Vale warned as he initiated launch sequence. The ship rocketed upward, crashing through the hangar's roof and into the night sky. Alarms blared as enemy vessels gave chase, weapons systems charging. Traditional escape routes are blocked, Vale reported grimly. They've established an orbital perimeter. Lysander moved to a specialized console, placing his hands on a crystalline interface similar to the formations on Helios 6. I can create a disruption, but I'll need help. He looked at Nadia, and understanding flowed through their bond. Together, they approached the interface, placing their hands side by side on its surface. The connection between them strengthened, their consciousness merging more completely than before. Through Lysander's knowledge and Nadia's understanding of Helios 6's crystal network, they generated a resonance field that expanded outward from the ship. The pursuing vessel's systems faltered as the harmonic disruption cascaded through their electronics. Jumping to hyperspace, Vale announced, engaging the drive. As the stars stretched into streaks of light around them, Nadia felt the future unfold before her, not with scientific certainty, but with newfound purpose. The symbiotic bond with Lysander had shown her truths about the consortium she couldn't unsee, revelations about Helios 6 she couldn't ignore. The bond will fade, Lysander said softly, sensing her thoughts. But the knowledge remains. And the connection? Nadia asked. The crescent mark on his face pulsed gently. Some bonds transcend biological necessity. Captain Vale set the autopilot and turned to face them. Welcome to the Resistance, Dr. Korloff. Your expertise on Helios 6's crystal network could be the key we've been searching for. A communication system the consortium can't monitor or control. Nadia looked at the streaking stars, thinking of her destroyed research station and the path that had brought her here. Sometimes the most valuable discoveries come from unexpected packages, she said. Lysander's silver eyes met hers, understanding flowing between them without words. Whatever came next, consortium pursuit, the struggle to liberate Azurine, the fight against the celestial trade, they would face it together. Their bond forged in the crystalline heart of a world neither had truly understood, until they had seen it through each other's eyes. As Vale's ship disappeared into the depths of space, Helios 6 continued its rotation around the twin suns, its crystal network pulsing with new awareness, a planet awakening to its potential. Much like the unlikely allies who had discovered its secrets,